As the winter sports seasons start, the fall season comes to a close. With this special episode, we're chronicling the events of all the fall sports in detail. Cross country had a great season. With many successful runners returning from last year, the season had a lot of potential. Hannah Johnson was the front runner for most of the season and was only passed up in the last couple meets by Hannah Surkamp. Both had very successful seasons as both received all-league voting. On the guys' side, Spencer Christie was the best runner for most of the year, and he would have made it to state if it weren't for a surprise knee injury that caused him to miss 2 meets. Ruben Santana was our next best runner, finishing right behind Spencer in the district meet. He's only a freshman, so many great things are sure to come from him next year. Johnny Vara finished right behind Ruben as he had a late start to the season, showing up to give the Huskies a boost in the rankings. He was a very strong runner, and he finished 3rd for the Huskies in the Tri-Valley Conference District Championship meet. Sam Kimber has always been a great runner, and unfortunately he received a knee injury as well, which slowed him down. Ben Westwood is one of North Marion's most dedicated runners as he works hard in every practice which prepares him for a great race. He is returning next year and the coaches have high hopes for him. With many returning runners next season, the Huskies look to make a very strong run and possibly make it to state. The seniors, which are Hannah Johnson, Johnny Vara, and Sam Kimber, will be greatly missed next season. The boys' soccer team had a fair season, making it into the play-in round of the playoffs. The season started out with a challenging preseason schedule, which the boys were able to handle by bringing their A game every time they stepped onto the field. They lost the season opener, but came back with a 6-3 win over Jervis, a game in which senior Danny Robles scored 4 goals. Newport and Tillamook both gave visits to North Marion to round out the preseason for the Huskies. The team finished with a 2-2 preseason record. Through the first round of league, the boys defeated LaSalle and tied Gladstone. In the second round, the boys got wins against Gladstone and then Matters on senior night. Their high ranking in the OSAA RPI system led them to clinching an at-large berth in the play-in round. The boys were matched up with the Fighting Fishermen, who were able to defeat the Huskies to end their season. Their season introduced lots of new players who had never played together, but by the end of the season, this group of Huskies grew close together and began playing like a true team. There are many returners to this club next year, and we look forward to building off that for success. Now I hand it over to Logan Beiser for girls soccer.
Thanks, Cole. Girls soccer had one of the fastest starts they've had in years, beginning 5-0 and giving them the #1 ranking in several polls. During that 5-0 run, the girls defeated league rival Molalla, who would eventually finish 7th in the state. They had not beaten Molalla in 3 years prior to that meeting. After that quick start, they began a 3-game skid, losing to rivals LaSalle, Gladstone, and Estacada. The team picked themselves up, though, and rallied for a late surge to propel them into the play-in round. In a bizarre turn of events, they had to travel to Seaside to play the Seagulls, who were actually ranked lower than them. But in the end, the location didn't matter as they won and entered the playoffs. Seeding wasn't too kind to the girls' soccer team, as in the first round they were matched up with the mighty Mazama Vikings. Mazama had just completed a season that left them at the #1 ranking in state, and they continued their dominance on a 27-degree Klamath Falls day. With their season over, we look forward to next year. With key starters Brianna Martinez and Jamie Gray leaving due to graduation, new players, as always, will have to step up. Thankfully, a large number of contributors were juniors or younger. With standout Jasmine Flores still with a year left, we look forward to next season as they continue to grow into potentially next year's Mazama. And now I'm happy to send it over to Wyatt Moore with volleyball.
volleyball team's season could be characterized by just a few words: tough competition. The team's preseason schedule consisted of high-caliber teams such as Banks, Central, and Yamhill Carleton. And when league play began, they had teams like LaSalle and Madras to give them tough challenges. The Huskies regained their bearings and swept both Malala and Gladstone to finish 4th in the Tri-Valley Conference. This 4th place finish sent them right up to Astoria, where the perennial powerhouse Lady Fishermen took charge like they have all season. Despite a rough season, there were bright spots. Seniors, most notably Megan Crumley, Nicole Ferchland, Courtney Lee, and Brittany Haberstich, helped keep the team together down the stretch. Juniors Chelsea Luna, Brianna Bashirs, and Katie Zwicker showed talent throughout the season, and the team will be filled and ready to go as next September rolls around. Now we hand it over to Josh for football.
Yeah, cash money, heroes, private jets, polish.
The North Marion Football Club, despite the numbers, had an outstanding season in terms of effort, toughness, and improvement. The climax of the 2011 season for the Huskies was probably the Gladstone game, where the Huskies held in there with one of the best teams in the state. That night, North Marion had easily their best performance of the season, scoring a season-high 27 points. The senior leadership on this year's team will be greatly missed in the years to come. To start out the 2011 season, the Huskies traveled to Cascade to play the Cougars. The game got off to a dicey start, as Cascade scored on the first play from scrimmage. North Marion rebounded with a solid drive of their own, capped off by a 69-yard pass from quarterback Jeremy Parkinson to wide receiver Zach Williamson. The Huskies set the tone for the season by passing the ball on the majority of the plays. Jeremy Parkinson had 200 yards in just the first half. However, the season took a sharp turn in the third quarter when Jeremy was injured on a scramble. His injury turned out to be serious enough to keep him out for the entire season. Quarterback Wyatt Moore was called into action in the third quarter of this game. Cascade's running game proved to be the story of the game, as they had over 350 rushing yards, which propelled them to a 34-7 win over the Huskies. North Marion knew they had some hard work ahead of them in order to overcome the opening loss, and all the pressure was on junior quarterback Wyatt Moore. He came out strong in week 2 of the season when the Huskies played at Scappoose. The Huskies started off their scoring when Wyatt threaded the needle on an amazing touchdown pass to Jaden Davis. Hayden Pyatt had a career day on the defensive side of the ball, racking up 17 tackles. In the end, the Huskies fell short to the powerful Scappoose Indians 51-12. North Marion hosted their first home game of the season on the following week. The Banks Braves came to town, yet another powerful non-conference opponent. The Huskies' passing game again overshadowed the struggling run game, as quarterback Wyatt Moore passed for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns, while sophomore Ben Crumley had 19 yards and a touchdown pass. Williamson had an amazing game with 8 receptions and 94 yards, also scoring a touchdown. A memorable play from the Banks game was Brendan Patterson intercepting a pass off of a deflection from Ryan Steele. In the end, the Huskies fell 45-20 to the Braves. The final non-conference game of the year was against the Junction City Tigers. North Marion used 2 scores in the last 12 seconds of the first half to take them past the Tigers for a 20-7 win. League play got underway in Molalla when the Huskies played the Indians. North Marion scored first when Matt McLaren ran the ball into the end zone after a huge passing play from Wyatt to Zach Williamson to get the game started. The Huskies struggled to run the ball mightily this game, forcing them to throw the ball 63 times. Wyatt recorded 302 passing yards, 114 of them going to Zach Williamson and 85 going to Jaden Davis. The second North Marion touchdown came from a 15-yard pass from Wyatt to Zach, where Zach went skyward to make an amazing touchdown play. Overall, the Huskies' passing game excelled, but the absence of their run game hurt them in the end, as they lost to the Malala Indians 26-13. The Huskies hosted the 2011 homecoming game versus the undefeated LaSalle Falcons. Hopes for the game were not too high, given that LaSalle had annihilated all of their previous opponents. However, the Huskies stuck in there with the Falcons. The halftime score was just 10-0 in favor of LaSalle. The Huskies fell to LaSalle 37-12, but the game was a success in North Marion's eyes, as they held the Falcons to their lowest points of the season. The Huskies went to Gladstone to play the Gladiators the following week. North Marion led off the game with a strong scoring drive, capped off by a touchdown pass from Wyatt Moore to Kyle Martin. Kyle Martin caught 3 touchdowns throughout the course of the game, and Matt McLaren ran in the other to account for the Huskies' 4 touchdowns. North Marion held leads all the way into the third quarter, but Gladstone was able to outlast the Huskies in the fourth, winning 42-27. The final home game brought with it the Estacada Rangers. It was also senior night and pink out. In an overly disappointing game, the Huskies fell to the then winless Rangers. The final game of the season was to be played far away in Madras. The night got off to a good start as the Huskies, behind the running game of Matt McLaren, easily marched down the field for the score. The drive was capped off with an 8-yard touchdown pass from White to Kyle Martin. The Huskies held in there for a good portion of the game, but Madras took off in the second half and won 30-7. To sum it up, the season was for the most part disappointing, but it showed several promising signs of improvement. The team really grew close together and was an exciting season for everyone involved. Now it's time for our FBLA high-flying performers of the season. For the Fall Sports Rewind edition of the North Marion FBLA High Flying Performer, we chose outstanding athletes from each of our 5 fall sports. For the girls soccer High Flying Performer, Jasmine Flores was chosen for her outstanding play throughout the entire season. Over to boys soccer, Christian Salcedo was chosen as the North Marion FBLA High Flying Performer. Christian was goalie for the majority of the season, and he stopped several strong attempts on goal, leading the Huskies to several of their wins. For the volleyball team, senior Courtney Lee was chosen. Not only Courtney's athletic ability led her to this award, but her senior leadership led the team. The high-flying performer for the cross-country team was Spencer Christie. Spencer led the Huskies in most of the races he ran in, and finished second team all-league. For the football team, Zach Williamson was the high-flying performer. Zach was the defensive leader and had many receiving yards for the Huskies. Remember to contact Miss Ione for ordering balloons. They are perfect for any occasion. That wraps up our high flying performer section. Back to you, Cole.
Thank you for watching the Fall Sports Rewind. We enjoyed the fall sports season and sharing the highs and lows of it with you. Now as the winter sports season rolls around, we're looking forward to a great season and hopefully some great wins to talk about. Thank you.